look at the outright market here. And honestly, at first glance, I wasn't super happy with the outright market. Kyle Larson opened up a lot of places about plus 450. Ended up coming up a little bit higher on there. I think they're looking for a little action over there on FanDuel. Did you have any initial leans here in the outright market, whether that is someone you're looking to maybe cash out later in the race on someone longer odds, or whether you're just trying to kind of take the juice and back a heavy favorite here, whether that's Larson or a Bell?
Yeah, I think the books got it pretty correct. I mean, they made a lot of those guys under 10-1, like, those front seven. Any one of those seven could win this thing. I mean,
yeah,
I think it's hard to not. I will say I think it's a Hendrick Motorsports type weekend, so it's hard to not want to back a Kyle Larson.
Yeah,
but I've been very, very strong on Chase Elliott all year. Plus 850 kind of stinks from the value we've been getting the past few weeks with him.
Yeah,
but man, like you said, he hasn't run outside the top 20 all year. I mean, this is a guy that, like, he's going to get another one. I mean, Texas, I thought was kind of fluky because he didn't really dominate that race.
Right.
And snuck it out. I think he's due for a domination. And I don't know. I just feel like Hendrick at Nashville sounds correct. Chevy in general at Nashville sounds correct. So I wouldn't talk anyone off of Kyle Larson or Chase Elliott if you're looking at a favorite going into the weekend.
Yeah, I think I like the call out on Chase a lot. I backed him last week for a top 10 and drank a heavy glass of juice to do it and ended up getting burned there, but had a little bit of speed before getting that contact with Logano. Kyle Larson specifically is someone I am already on. I've already clicked the button. I went 2 units down on him. 5-1 is what I got on FanDuel. And talk about a guy who's probably about, a little fired up coming into this one, Tim's. Fastest car at Iowa, then told a spotter to shut the F up last week after getting, critiqued pretty heavily about how he lets Denny Hamlin race him. I think he's fired up. And when you look at Nashville, it's been a great track for him so far. In the pre-next gen era in 2021, he won that race, led 264 laps. Also came back here in the last 2 years, top 5, the last 2 races here as well. And looking at the ifantasyrace.com next gen total speed rankings, he's 8th. So I really like what Kyle Larson could bring here. And he's been great at these styles of tracks, right? Almost won Dover, second there. Dominated at Vegas, won there. Fastest car at Texas before he wrecks, gives Chase kind of that win, wins Kansas. And we didn't see him at Charlotte, the closest, most recent comp, but Allgaier apparently had a freaking rocket as well. So I don't see why it's not wheels up here on Kyle Larson.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's like you said, every time we go to a 1.5-mile track, it's Kyle Larson. I feel like the last year and a half, it's been Kyle Larson. And like you said, I mean, they were talking Justin Allgaier's car up like it was going to win the race with whoever was driving it. So, I mean, it's hard for me to believe that he's not going to be a rocket ship. And plus, like, I know he won Sonoma, but like, I feel like if they don't win within like 2 or 3 races, they start getting antsy. Like, I kind of feel like that's that whole team's vibe. And that spotter and, Larson back and forth was a little bit weird, like for a team that has 3 wins and just won like 2 weeks ago. So I think they are fired up, Seth. I think you're right. It's hard to not have Kyle Larson on your card in some capacity.
Is there anyone else you like here in the outright market, whether it is a favorite, whether it's someone down the board? I will say it is such a weird time in NASCAR betting, Tim's, when you can get Kyle Busch 50-1, and I'm still like, don't know if I can really go there, just how bad he's performed. But he was fast at Dover. He pulled that son of a gun too. So it's like,
but it's been bad for the last couple of weeks. Like, it's not just like a Kyle Busch 12th, 13th. Like, okay, they're just trying to figure it out. It's been like crash, like 30th, like something mechanical's wrong. But man, you're right. 50-1. That is, it's juicy, but I can't get myself to it. There's 2 guys though I have in that kind of long shot category. And it's one guy that if you've listened to Dirty Modo,
I bet I can guess it right now. Exactly. Alex Bowman, right?
100%. Yeah, I've made so much money cashing out Alex Bowman win bets, and he's not sniffed a top 5 in forever, it feels like. Yeah. I mean, if you're going to give me 40-1 on the Ally car in the Ally 400, I'm sorry.
Wow, that's a good point.
I think I got to take it. And he was 60-1 last week, and I cashed him out for a very small profit. But I've done this weeks and weeks in a row, and he has just been a cash cow for me. So I'll put it on that. And my other guy, a little bit of a stretch, 28-1, Chris Buescher. The hunch is he had a top 5. I think he finished 5th last week at New Hampshire. I know the rain kind of got in there. But he's a streaky guy. He starts getting top 5s, wrapping off top 10s. He goes on a run. And we saw when he won, 2 races in a row last year. Like, I think I'm not going to let myself get beat on a Chris Buescher. I'm getting in on it early. I kind of like him as a long shot, see if he does well. His Nashville numbers aren't great, but
Yeah.
I do trust the speed in that RFK camp.
I talked to Chris Buescher at Dover, and he told me he specifically loves concrete racetracks as a whole. So I like that play. I even saw him at 35-1 over at Bet Rivers right now. So
Awesome.
a little bit better of a number there. And funny story about Alex Bowman at Dover. He was like charging, like that was the guy. Alex Bowman was coming from the back half the top 10, charging up, and was even going to potentially pass Larson in stage 2 there for the lead. Wasn't able to get it. We were up in the press box, and I looked at my co-host Elliott. I said, "Hey, we have an Alex Bowman outright. We should be cashing this out right now." Well, we're in a different state. They don't allow FanDuel there. So I'm getting all these like crazy alerts on my phone that like they're shutting down my FanDuel account because I'm not, so couldn't cash out on that one. But Alex Bowman, he was great at Dover, which is our closest comp. So you think he'd be good here again.
Yeah, and both these drivers, like that's where I'm leaning towards it. Their Dover success. It's actually shocking they haven't maybe had the success at Nashville that you anticipate.
Right.
But if they run really well at Dover, I just don't see how they can't figure it out here. Like they're too good there to not, find some speed here. So I think that's where I'm leaning for in the long shots a little bit more.
Okay. Looking kind of towards the top of the board, I did want to mention Denny Hamlin. About 6-1 in most places is what you can get him. Caesars actually has a boost, plus 650. I see FanDuel just raised themselves a little bit to plus 650 as well. I don't mind that price on a guy like Hamlin. Talk about another guy I think who's ready to get on the right side of things. Been a couple tough weeks for Hamlin. Couldn't really figure it out in the rain last week. Had some mechanical issues at Sonoma as well, and Iowa just wasn't his jam as well. And the only person better than Larson on these total speed rankings at these comp tracks is Denny Hamlin. He won Dover, had a shot at winning at Texas before he wrecked himself, trying to go a little too hard against Chase there. Also had a top 5 at Kansas and Charlotte. This is just a guy who seems to perform well on this style of track. Second in the Nashville Next Gen Total Speed Rankings, has led 195 laps the last 2 years here, 4 for 4, placing in the stages, and finishes of 3rd and 6th. So I don't know if he'll be able to quickly turn the switch and get himself the win, but I think at 6.5-1, I'm willing to take a little bit of a nibble there.
Yeah, I think he won Bristol, he won Dover, the 2 concrete tracks we've run. I mean, that's not a bad bet either. I think he won Bristol last year, so he's kind of the master on concrete. They used to call Carl Edwards Concrete Carl. I think it's Denny taking that crown now. So I agree with you, Seth. I think that's a good pick.
Yeah, I hate being the guy every week who's like, bet Larson, bet Hamlin, but like they cash tickets, man. They cash tickets, dude.
Listen, my strategy last year was the same of like, I'm not betting a favorite. I'm finding the 10-1s and ups. Lost so much. It's if they're gonna cash, they're cashing. There's a reason why Joe Gibbs Racing and Hendrick Motorsports won like 7 of the first 8 races.
Right.
Like it's because they're good teams. Like a win's a win. You'll grow your bankroll tremendously if you just stick to that strategy, I think.